Hi guys, this is Hiro from Aqua CG, back again with another video. Today I will be discussing to you about side deck in general. For starters, I'll show you cards you would often see played against the top decks in the current format, and as well as least popular cards that you would consider running. I'll also explain how to use these cards and what are the decks affected by these cards. So I hope this video helps you with your ranking tournaments, local tournaments, casual tournaments, and ongoing remote duel battle royale. Without further ado, let's start. So this video will be divided into monsters, spells, and traps para yung flow masusundan nyo. Right from the start, syempre, Nibiru, the primal being. So it has the effect na when your opponent special summon 5 monsters or more during this turn, you can activate it from hand, then tribute all monsters currently on the field, then special summon it and a token. The token stats are equal to the total attack and defense of all tributed monsters. So decks that summons a lot of monsters during their turn, or summon, basta in general na nagsusummon ng maraming monsters, kasi Nibiru can also be used during your turn. So if your opponent summons a lot of monsters during your turn, in case Frankie can do that also, you can also use Nibiru. So right from the start, Frankie. So Frankie can summon a lot of monsters during their turn and during your turn. So they really want to generate field presence and they dig their decks for the resources. So interrupting them with Nibiru can disrupt them from having the full potential of the deck. So next is of course Virtual World. As discussed on my last video, True King of all calamities is still limited. So it means it's still playable, it's still a threat. But now, with only one True King of all calamities, you can actually wait for the opponent to summon it, then use Nibiru. Because if you tribute the True King of all calamities using Nibiru, you're guaranteed that there will be no more follow-up VFD. So, insured ka na wala na yung problema, and then you have no more True King of all calamities to worry about moving forward. Next deck is yung Zodiac. So Zodiac summons a lot of Xyz monster during their turn, either by summoning Utopic Future Dragon or yung Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. So si Nibiru is one of the best answer against Zodiac. I would like to mention that these 3 top decks has only one answer to Nibiru, which is Crossout Designator. So next deck is yung Cyber's decks actually, which is yung Code Talker, yung Salaman Great, and then yung Ignister. So medyo umaangat yung usage nung tatlong decks na yon. And then same with these 3, they only have one answer to Nibiru, which is yung Crossout Designator nga. So if you face these kinds of deck combo heavy, you can really prioritize running Nibiru. Another deck that is currently topping is yung Drytron. With Drytron naman kasi, they have 2 answers to Nibiru. The first one is of course the Crossout Designator, and the second one is the Herald of Orange Light. So Herald of Orange Light is very accessible to the deck kasi during their combos, they can easily search it. So sometimes they are really prepared for those interruptions like Nibiru. So proceed tayo sa next card. Next is Kaiju. I started with the popular Nibiru, then follow up by least popular naman. So Kaiju, unlike dati na we have boss monsters that can secure the game, kaya ngayon hindi siya ganun ka-effective kasi wala namang one card na can dominate the whole game. So why did I put Gandharla there? Only for one reason, and for one deck only, it's Tri Brigade. So, Tri Brigade, they can create Simorgh Link Monster, which can summon the barrier statue of Storm Winds. So, the effect of the barrier statue, while face up on the field, both players can only special summon Wind Monster. So, if you feel na your deck cannot out that kind of plays, you might want to consider Gandharla as an additional answer to the deck. Because cards like Impermanence and let's say Veiler, Pancrataps, cannot answer to Simorgh or Barrier Statue. Next deck that is affected by Kaiju is also Zodiac. Of course, Dransha, Utopic Future, or even Zeus can easily be tributed. Next is yung Drytron. Drytron, they have two cards to end with. First one is the Herald of Ultimateness, which can negate summons and card effects up to 5 times. Not actually up to 5 times, of course. It depends if they have 6 fairies in hand. But most of the time, they have 5. So, ayun nga, you can also tribute it with Kaijus. But sometimes, they are running Vanity's Ruler. Kaya medyo contradict whether you would want to run Kaijus or not against against Drytron, because you won't know talaga yung magiging ending nila. It really depends on their hand. Next is yung Sky Striker. So, Sky Striker is not top tier deck, but you can see it winning on and off during tournaments. So, bakit Kaiju? Because Sky Striker spells require to control no monster for them to be activated. So, if you summon Kaiju on their side of the field, Shard Cannon and Widow Anchor cannot be activated. So, ensured ka na walang response wala siyang maire-response sa'yo na Sky Striker spell. Another deck is yung Thunder Dragon. Thunder Dragon. With the rising popularity of Drytron and also Allure of Darkness coming back to Unlimited, I see Thunder Dragons coming back also. Medyo slight lang, of course, because other decks can still deal with Colossus easily, especially with Zodiac. They have Zeus. So, if you ever come across Thunder Dragons, you might want to consider Kaijus. Okay, so proceed tayo sa next card. Next card is Artifact Lancea. Last format, sobrang useful ni Artifact Lancea. It's because Dogmatica Invoke is so popular. So, ngayon, una ko i-explain is yung Invoke, of course. Invoke still is a viable deck since the only hit it got is reducing Magical Meltdown from unlimited to semi-limited. If you don't know, Artifact Lancea has an effect that you can tribute it from hand or field during opponent's turn. Cards cannot be banished. So, ano nga ba sa Invoke? Obviously, it's Invocation. It has an effect na you can fusion summon a monster using materials from field and graveyard by banishing it as yung material nga babanish mo. Then di naman actually napipigilan most of the time yung Invocation, kasi they still have an option to fusion summon from hand if they have the materials. But if they don't, doon lang pupasok yung time na nag-fizzle actually yung Invocation. Another deck is yung Tri Brigade again. So, Tri Brigade has an effect na Tri Brigade effect monsters has an effect na you can banish a number of Beast, Wing Beast, or Beast Warrior to special summon a Beast, Wing Beast, Beast Warrior Link monster from the extra deck with the equal rating of the number you banish. So, preemptive activation ng Lancea can shut down the deck actually. Straight to the point, kumbaga. Masya-shut down mo yung deck. Next is yung Virtual World. Only few cards lang naman sa Virtual World, namely King Long, which is their spell card. Now, when it's in the graveyard, you banish it, then you search a Virtual World card, then discard one. With Lancea, you prevent them from searching. Next is yung Chuche. Chuche is the level manipulation of the deck. When it's in the grave, you can banish it, target a Virtual World monster on the field, reduce its level by 3 or increase its level by 3. And lastly is yung Quanwu, which is the monster reborn of the deck. Again, when it's in the grave, banish it, target one Virtual World monster in the graveyard, special summon it, then discard one card. So, with Lancea, you're stopping 3 of their cards that sometimes are very needed sa combo. Yun lang actually yung heavily affected ni Lancea. Kaya medyo nag-expect ako na magde-decline yung usage ni Lancea. But of course, Lancea can be used to ensure your hand traps. Let's say you're running Nibiru and Lancea. If you use Nibiru and then opponent chains crossout designator, you can have Lancea to ensure Nibiru would resolve. So next. A popular card right now is Skullmeister. Bakit nga ba popular si Skullmeister ngayon? It's because a lot of deck has graveyard effects. So I'll try to explain each decks na naapektuhan ni Skullmeister. First off is yung Drytron. So Drytron effect monsters has the effect na when it's in the grave, hand or grave actually, na you can tribute then special summon them. You can use Skullmeister whenever they are activated in the graveyard. Not only that, you can also negate Cyber Angel Benten, Herald of Arclight, and Eva. So, next is yung Virtual World. As explained earlier, with Lancea, as I mentioned, King Long, Chuche, and Quanwu, this time, you won't be preventing them from activating. You would actually negate them. Because Skullmeister, sa mga hindi nakakaalam, it has an effect na when a card or effect is activated in the graveyard, you can discard this card, negate the effect. Next is yung sa Tri-Brigade. Only 2 cards, Nerval and Tri-Brigade Kit. Nerval is I think the Searcher. When it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a Tri-Brigade monster. So yun, pwede mo siyang inegate. And then yung Kit is yung Foolish Burial of the deck. Also, yung link monster nila, it has an effect. So yun, pwede rin maging manegate ng Skullmeister. Another deck is a graveyard heavy deck, Shadal. So Shadal has a lot of graveyard effects, but the thing is sometimes they can build chain links to secure that you cannot negate the most important effect with Skullmeister. Next is yung Frankids. All Frankids main deck effect monster has an effect na when it is used for link summon or fusion summon and sent to the graveyard, they can activate its effect, then special summon a Frankid monster from the deck. So lahat sila nanenegate ni Skullmeister. Next is Eldritch. All Eldritch spell trap monster except the counter trap has an effect, has the graveyard effect. So ayun, if you want to stop a specific card, Skullmeister can negate it. Next is an upcoming deck. Kasi upcoming, kasi wala pa siya sa Philippines. But if your country has, it's called Abyss. So Abyss has a lot of graveyard effects that can activate na yun nga, marami silang effect na nag-activate sa graveyard na pwede mong i-negate using Skullmeister. Next is Altergeist. Para sa iba, you may not know this, pero medyo crucial yung search kasi ng Altergeist. They really want to get Altergeist Multifaker as fast as they can, so they use cards with like Melosic, of course, now unlimited. You can negate Melosic to ensure na hindi mo makikita si Faker. Also, Hex siya, effects in the graves. So, ayun. Obviously, Salaman Great has a lot of graveyard effects with Spinny, Foxy, and Jack Jaguar. Sometimes Falco, of course. Yun lang muna tayo kay Skullmeister kasi hindi naman relevant masyado yung iba. Pero, mention ko na rin, sige. Zodiac, you can negate Ram. That's it. Yun lang. Next card. Yung Retaliating Sea. Least popular ulit tayo, which is Retaliating Sea. It has an effect na when opponent activate a spell card na would special summon a monster, you can special summon this card. Then while it's face up on the field, because it was special summoned that way, all cards that will be sent to the graveyard are banished instead. Then, if this card is sent from field to the graveyard, you get to add an insect with 1,500 defense. So, most of the time, si Maxi yung i-add niya. So, yun nga. Decks that special summon using spell cards, of course, is Shadal. So, sa activation pa lang ng Shadal or El Shadal Fusion, you can chain Retaliating Sea para ma-ensure na mo-banish yung materials na gagamitin niya for Shadal Fusion. Thus, preventing the Shadal monsters from activating its effect. Then, ayun nga, mababanish din yung Shadal Fusion, di nila mare-recur. Next is yung Frankie, as explained earlier. They need to be sent to the graveyard for Link Summon and Fusion Summon to activate its effect. So, when they activate cards like 1/1, Instant Fusion, then Frankie's Pandemonium, may ensure mo na mababanish yung materials. Next is Virtual World. Ba't nga ba Virtual World? Diba i-tele lang naman pansummon nila? Not actually. So, they have this card which is Virtual World City Kwanlun that when it's activated, then they have 4 or more spell traps that is Virtual World currently face up on the field. They get to special summon up to 4 Virtual World monsters from the extra deck. So, not necessarily kailangan nilang may control nun. Ano siya, during the activation pa lang, namimit na ni Retaliating Sea yung requirement. Kasi, you wouldn't know if it would special or not. Kaya, pwede mo siya i-activate versus Virtual World. Another deck, pero hindi naman masyadong affected is yung Invoke. At some cases, yung Drytron, when they use card like Drytron Supernova, and then the Ritual Spell. Masyadong specific si Retaliating Sea or masyadong piling deck yung pwedeng paggamitan. Another least popular is yung Aleph Justice Cycle Reader. Only one deck lang ang i-discuss ko dyan. At yun ay Drytron. So, Drytron, ang effect kasi ni Cycle Reader is, you can discard this card, you can discard this card, then target 2 light monsters in the graveyard, banish it. So, sa scenarios na Drytrons are in the grave, when they tribute, then you can banish the monster that activated and the tributed. So, best scenario would be, if they tribute Ben 10, you can chain this card to banish Ben 10. Thus, preventing Ben 10 to even activate its effect. Yun lang. Very straightforward. It's like DD Crow but 2 targets and 4 lights only. Next card is yung Ghost Bell. So si Ghost Bell, is not the same with Skullmeister actually. So si Ghost Bell, when an effect card or effect activates that has an effect na would special summon a monster from graveyard, would return a card from graveyard to the deck, or add from graveyard to the hand, or banish a card, can discard this card, negate the activation. So with Skullmeister, I forgot to mention, si Skullmeister actually is not once per turn. That's why some players prefer Meister over Bell. Kasi si Meister negates the effect in the grave, while Bell negates the activation and once per turn lang siya. Saka specific kasi, kailangan mahanap niya yung activation requirement. Ano nga bang decks? Una is yung Tritron. So when they effect in the grave to special summon themselves, yun. Self-explanatory. Frankies, actually Doodle-Doo's effect is very important. So when they tribute it to target 2 Frankies in the grave to add to hand, you can negate it with Ghost Bell. Another deck is yung Eldritch. So with Eldritch, monster spell trap effects nila, very important. So sa monsters, si Golden Lord yun. Kasi may effect si Golden Lord na when it's in the grave, you can send one spell trap to add it back to hand. So ayun, nakakikita ni Ghost Bell activation nun. Next is yung Scarlet Sanguine, which has an effect na you can spell summon one zombie monster from your deck or graveyard. So ayun, same. Also, Elixir of White Awakening. It has an effect na you can spell summon one zombie from hand or graveyard. So yun, since andun yung graveyard, kaya ni Ghost Bell. Another deck is yung Invoke. Sa Invoke, only one card, which is Invocation. But if the opponent, if the both player has the magical meltdown, cannot negate the activation. So nagiging useless siya. Next is yung Abyss again. So yun nga, nag-special summon sila sa grave, naninegate ni Ghost Bell. Next is yung Virtual World. So Virtual World effect monsters has an interaction with the graveyard. So namely GG. So when it is activated during the end phase, nag-add back sila ng Virtual World sa graveyard. So sa activation pa lang pwede na i-negate ni Ghost Bell. So hand effect yon, babalik lang sa kamay si GG. Next is yung Lawlaw, which special summons a Virtual World monster in the graveyard. So same. Next is Nyan Nyan. And then Shin. Shin is the synchro monster. It can summon itself back from the graveyard. And then again, as mentioned earlier, is yung Quan Wu, which is the monster reborn of the deck. Some other decks is yung Thunder Dragon. 2 cards. It is Thunder Dragon Hawk, which special summon a Thunder Dragon from the graveyard or banish. And the other one is the Thunder Dragon Fusion. Next is yung Zodiac. So sa Zodiac, si Ramram lang. Next card. Sa frame gear, Gamma. Actually, hindi siya sinaside ng iba ngayon, or some decks uses it in the side deck to ensure that their plays will go through. Virtual World. So when a Virtual World effect activates from hand to target their spell traps, if opponent chains Maxi, Ash, Ghost Bell, ayun, that's the perfect timing for Gamma para manigate yung cards like that. Next is yung Eldritch. They're running it to ensure their extravagance, etc. to resolve. Also, it is the hand trap that they choose to respond sa opponent. Next is Thunder Dragons. Especially yung Chaos Space variant. Kasi Chaos Space is very important kasi they would discard a card. Imagine it getting negated by Ash. Ang laking kawalan. So far, kung wala ka namang gustong inigate ni Gamma, parang wala namang kasi sa metang importanteng inigate ni Gamma. Kaya, hindi ganun ka-importante si Gamang iside deck. Plus, the dilemma of drawing yung yung worry mo na mabunot si driver. Yun, delikado kasi sobrang break ni driver. Next is DD Crow. So, mas maraming matatarget si DD Crow compared to Cycle Reader kasi generic siya monster, spell, or trap. Pwede niyang i-banish. So, unang-una, Eldritch. So, rather than negating it with Skullmeister, you can banish it also. Para mag-seem useless. Next is yung Drytron. Kung si Cycle Reader nga naapektuhan siya, why not? Drytron. Next is yung Abyss. Same with Abyss. Next is yung Salaman Great. Their graveyard is important, so punishing it can give some problems sa deck. Actually, yun lang yung heavily affected ni Crow ngayon. This is a virtual world. Sometimes they can still play around after DB Crow. Next is yung Troll and Lockbird. So, decks that searches a lot is affected by this. So, kayo pa in-explain na add siya ng add using Benten, using its own Drytron effects. Ayun, you would want to stop it. Next is yung Thunder Dragon. Some of you might not know, masakit din sa Thunder Dragon mapigilan mag-add. So, ayun, ang daming na napipigilan sa live, which is yung Bolt, yung Thunder Dragon mismo, yung original Thunder Dragon, yun. The builds that run Chaos Space, Disparity, yung in the case of Chaos Space build, yung Collapse Serpent and Bybarstar. Next is, ito, magkasama ko silang explain. Dogmatic Invoke. So, Nadir, Meltdown, Terraforming, ayun. Alistair alone, Ecclesia. Once they search, you can drop Droll para tumigil na yung further searches nila. Of course, the popular Sky Striker. Ayun, para tumigil yung kaka-search sa engage. Because some players really hate engage. Mamaya ko na i-discuss yung isang monster. Proceed muna ako sa spell. Unang-una sa spell is Lightning Storm. Actually, sabay ko na silang i-explain kasi they have been giving the same purpose naman. Lightning Storm, Twin Twister, and then yung Cosmic Cyclone. In this case, Lightning Storm kasi kaya mag-destroy ng monster, while Twin Twister can destroy multiple spell traps, while Cosmic only banishes one spell trap. So, sa format ngayon, ang tinatamaan niyan is yung Eldritch. So, ayaw nilang nare-remove na-destroy lahat ng back rows nila. So, affected sila dyan. Next is yung Altergeist. Siyempre, back row deck. Sky Striker, they really need their interruptions in form of spell traps. And in case sa Philippines, which is the popular anti-meta, whichever, kasi may anti-meta na border barrier statue, and then the other one is yung Grand Maggio. So, that would be your cards na kailangan to counter these kinds of deck. Next is yung pagsabayin ko na rin sila, Dark Ruler No More, and then yung Forbidden Droplets. So, saan mga ba effective gamitin ngayon yung Forbidden Droplets? Top of my head, syempre, Ang deck na gusto ko i-negate dyan is yung Drytron. Kasi syempre, like I have explained earlier, they have Herald of Ultimateness or Vanity's Ruler. Next is yung Tri-Brigade. Yun. Ayaw mo nga talaga kay Barrier Statue of Stormwinds. Sila yung kailangan mo. Thunder Dragon. Ayun. Si Colossus, si Titan. Ayaw mo rin. Zodiac. You would want to negate Drancia, Zeus, or Utopic Future. In case of of this variant is yung anti-meta na nagra-run ng Border, ng Rayo, Warrior Statue, etc. Yun, patchy of course. Gusto mo rin gamitin yan. So, actually, crucial sa virtual world kasi if you let your opponent summon VFD for you, tapos, ang maganda lang iko sa Droplets would be a trap card para hindi nila, ang scenario kasi would be like this. If opponent activates VFD, then you chain Droplets, then you discard a monster or your spell, or send a monster or spell in the field to the graveyard, they can chain their trap card, which is yung Chuche. It has a field effect na return ng 2 banished cards back to the deck to destroy a card on the field. So yun, pwede lang destroy si VFD para mag-resolve yung effect. Yun lang muna yung di-discuss ko sa Droplets and Dark Ruler No More. I think ang difference lang naman nila is yung Droplets is quick play and then yung Dark Ruler No More is normal spell. And then yung Dark Ruler kasi prevents damage na may take ng kalaban. If your deck wants to OTK, talagang you would go to Droplets. Another forbidden, least popular, forbidden graveyard. So, yun lang. Effect niya, discard 1. All effects that would activate in the graveyard are negated. So, yun lang. Negate niya lang yung mga graveyard effects. So, like I have explained earlier, yung mga ninegate ni Skullmeister, ayan. Diretso na. Lahat sila negated. Next is yung Mind Control. So, onting deck lang naman. And this card is specially for Zodiac. Imagine this, yung scenario mo is you take control a Drancia, a Utopic Future Dragon, or a Zeus. So, ang laking bagay sa'yo yun. Yun lang yung best i-mind control sa format ngayon. For me Kaya, sa Japan, medyo naglaro na talaga ng mind control sila kasi ang daming representation ng Zodiac. Kumbaga, panay mirror match sila. Kaya, lakas ng mind control sa kanila. Next spell, least popular siya ngayon is yung Super Poly. Unti kasi ng targets ni Super Poly ngayon. Hindi siya ganun gamitin, kumbaga. But I'll show you decks or yung mga fusion monsters na pwedeng gamitan. Mood Dragon. With Dark decks, yung Abyss nga. Starving Venom. I forgot the name, pero material niya is Triple Dark. With Eldritch. Yes, ito yung sagot sa Eldritch. Actually, pwede sila kasi ma-super poly, which is nakakalungkot. Kasi another out. Next is yung Salaman Great Violet Chimera. Specific for Salaman Great, but for Cybers, Deplexer. So, yun lang. Hindi ko na-include si Dragostapella kasi hindi siya masyado talagang gamitin. If you want to deal with Shadal, you can actually run a Shadal monster in the extra deck. Sa traps naman tayo. Sa traps is yung evenly match. So, gaya kanina, sa Lightning Storm, Twister Cosmic, yan. Sila yung kakapitan mo sa mga decks na nagbi-build ng malaking board. But, kasi ito kasi, sure na may matitirang isa. So, So decks that build their board. Yeah. Like ito nga yung Frankies, ayun, damay pati monster. With Lightning Storm kasi mamimili ka kung monster ba o yung back row. But this, wala siyang choice. Titira lang siya ng isa. So yun lang naman nadagdag. Next is yung Infinite Impermanence. Hindi ko nga diniscuss si Veiler. Include ko na lang si Impermanence. So, hindi siya ganun kalakas ngayon. Effective lang siya against yun, Zodiac. Hindi siya talaga ganun ka-recommended for me. Mababa yung usage sa mata ko ng Impermanence. Next is yung DD Grounds. May effect siya na when activated, this turn, all cards that will be sent to the graveyard are banished instead. So, gaya kanina kay Retaliating Sea, basically Macrocosmos siya for a turn. But Macrocosmos can easily be removed by Cosmic or any backroom removal. But this ensures you na full turn, walang graveyard. Next is yung the Barrier. It has an effect na you declare either fusion, synchro, exceed, or ritual. Then sa resolution niya, negated lahat ng effects nung dineclare mo, then bawal na mag-special summon ng ganong card. So if I declare ritual, bawal na mag-ritual, and so on and so forth. So text na affected niyan, syempre. Ngayon natin yung fusion base, which yung Frankies and Shadal. So, unang-una sila. Somehow, Dragon Maids, hindi naman ganun ka-sakit, pero still. Next is yung Drytron. Synchro, Exist and Link. Exist and Ritual. So, ayun. Kung gusto mong ma-ensure na walang Herald of Ultimateness, ayun, go for Ritual. Of course, Zodiac, declare Exceed, wala nang Exceed. Invoke variants, ayun. Declare ka Fusion, wala nang Fusion. Thunder Dragon, kulay pa lang, alam mo na, Fusion. And then yung Virtual World. Sa Virtual World kasi, you can choose to declare Synchro or Exceed. But if you really don't want to deal with VFD, declare Exceed. Kasi even though you declare Synchro, sometimes they can make VFD without those Synchro monsters. I forgot the reason that I showed you normal traps is for this card, Trap Trick. So if you want to see the barrier, or DD Grounds na urgent, you can add Trap Trick in your side. Sa effect niya is yung banish one normal trap sa deck, then set ng same name nung binanish mo. Then you can activate it the turn it was set, pero isang trap na lang pwede mo activate. So parang naging searcher nung deck, searcher ng trap, and then lumalabas na fourth copy. Sa continuous naman, there can be only one. Ayun. Decks na apektuhan nito slightly is yung Virtual World. Heavily affected naman is yung Drytron, Zodiac. Kasi Frankies can play around, there can be only one. Sometimes they themselves run, there can be only one. Ayun, Dragon Maid. Sky Striker also can play around kasi sometimes they're running it nga eh. Thunder Dragon, Eldritch, ayun. So, may ensure mo na walang Hakwero, Conquistador. Salaman or yung of course, Code Talker at Ignister. Abyss. Tri-Brigade also can play around. There can be only one. Take note na lang. So far, yun lang. Ito pa pala. Is yung Altergeist. Yun, affected din sila. There can be only one. So, as you can see, maraming sakop si there can be only one. Though, consider mo, sa deck mo, kung tatamaan ka niyan. Kasi, as you can see, ang daming meta decks na tinatamaan nun. It's up to you if you would run. Kasi, only a few lang yung nakasurvive with it. Another normal trap. Sorry, hindi ko pala nakita. Artifact, Sanctum. Bakit Sanctum lang? Siyempre, merong sight. Artifact sight. So, may effect si Sanctum effect. Activate siya. Special summon ka ng artifact from deck to the field. So, usually, si sight yung tinatawag. Ano nga ba effect ni sight? When it's special summon during opponent's turn, i-activate yung effect niya sa field, bawal na mag-summon sa extra deck. So, isa siyang malaking D-barrier with the exception of not preventing ritual summon. So, resolving it ensures you na walang extra deck yung kalaban. Another target, syempre, si Lancea. Chances lang, kumbaga, most of the time you would prefer sight. Next is yung Paleozoic Deinonychus. It's very good trap. Simple lang effect niya. Target one face-up card on the field, then sa resolution, banish mo yon, then discard one. Sobrang basic pero sobrang effective. Ang daming decks na masasaktan na mabanish. Saka face-up card siya, you can also hit spell traps. It's very generic, very easy to use. Kaya, recommend ko na you should try Deinonychus. Another is yung, actually ito na, di-discuss ko na yung mga limited naman. So, sa mga limited kasi, chances kasi yung mabunot mo sila kasi nga limited sila eh. So, it's up to you. I will only discuss a few na currently effective. It's yung, siyempre, hindi natin makawala. The best side deck. Kumbaga, lagi mo siyang makikita sa side deck eh. Bira ka makita ng side deck na wala siya. It's Dino Wrestler Pankrataps. So, if your opponent controls more monster than you, special summon siya for free sa hand. Then, 2-6 beater yan. 2-6 beater na may effect na tribute siya, then target isang card sa field, destroy. So, ang lakas talaga ni Pankrataps. Next is yung Imperial Order. Spell-based deck, talagang patay. So, spell-based, ano nga ba yun? Siyempre, Sky Striker. Combo decks that wants to deal with back row heavy decks, siyempre, Red Reboot. With the cost of half of your life points. Negate yung trap na yon, and then bawal na mag-activate ng trap. So, gaya nga nun, limited sila. It's up to you if you would run. They are so strong, kaya nga limited sila. So, sa tips, as you can see, ang haba ng video. Medyo mahabang explanation kung talagang tuturo ko na isa-isa. Sa tips ko lang, aralin nyo yung side deck. Hindi siya basta-basta na, kumbaga, sinide deck ko to. Malaki na chance ko laban dyan. Even though na nag-side deck ka na ito, if you don't know how to use it, it's useless. Saka, importante din, alam mo yung environment na nilalaroan mo. Know your environment, kumbaga. Ano nga bang deck dito? Mamaya, sinide deckan ko, panay Zodiac. Tapos ang kalaban ko dito, panay back row. What's the point? Nagiging useless yung side deck mo. Lagi mong aaralin yung lugar na nilalaroan mo. Kasi, yun yung magiging batayan mo kung ano yung iraran mo sa side deck. Kung, let's say, weekly, ang kalaban mo, back row decks. So, consider mo na yung side deck mo is more on against back row decks. Why would you run cards na, ba't ka magsa-side deck, ba't ka magsa-side deck sa hindi mo naman nakikitang deck? Yun na lang. So, another thing is yung practicing mo mag-side deck, hindi yun basta-basta na, yun nga, gaya ka sabi ko kanina, sinalpak mo dito, expect mo okay ka na. aralin mo ano yung tatanggalin mo sa deck, saka yung papalitan mo. Kasi, minsan na-encounter ko, players has a problem while side decking. Kasi, wala, I don't know what to side. Minsan nag-overside sila na nakakasira ng consistency ng deck. Kumbaga, natanggal nila yung mga piyesang kakailanganin pala nila. Ayun. Gaya ng sabi ko kanina, huwag kayong mag-overside. Oversiding is very bad. Nakakasira ng function ng deck. Siguro yun na lang muna for today. Masyado nang mahaba. Kung nanonood pa rin kayo, I hope na nag-enjoy kayo sa video na to. Though it's very, very long. Pasensya na. So, yun lang. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment kayo kung may idea kayo na, may side deck idea kayo na hindi ko nabanggit. Para mapag-usapan din natin sa comment section. So, that's it. Bye.